pressure, and that base part it comes in.
Hi.
But pretty
Okay,
good
we're
shape.
on YouTube Live, everyone. Hi, Lowell.
How you doing, Wolf?
Hey, Courtney.
How are you?
Pretty good. I won't be able to do a finance meeting on Monday.
Okay.
I work at home on Plum all day, so I don't know if we want to schedule one for Tuesday because of the budget.
Yes.
I work at home on Plum all next week, but I am free from 1 till 3.
Okay.
So I could do like at 2 as long as I'm back in there by 3 o'clock. I could do 1:30, whatever would work for you.
Tuesday at, let's see what date that is.
That's-
He hasn't given it back to me yet, so I'll make sure that.
How you doing, Bob?
Okay.
They're talking
But I figure
freezing
there's other
rain
things we probably need to
tonight.
touch base
I
with.
hope they miss that. I
So,
hope they do. I don't love that.
What time would work for you?
I would say like, if you,
Oh.
you're off from 1 to 3 over there.
Yeah.
Maybe just make it like 1:15.
Okay, that'd be great.
October
Actually,
14th.
it's 12 to 3, that way I can go get something over here.
We'll have to
15 on
change
Tuesday.
change those
Yeah.
And then I'll ask the Jim, because he's got it.
to November.
Okay.
And did you want that as a work session or just committee?
Committee.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I was telling Rebecca, Bill, about that movie about
Okay,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
I've heard that was
It's
Flat
good, it's
iron.
good,
Well,
it's
we
good.
went to downtown
It just
yesterday,
goes
so I
in the
got the
inside
flat
of
iron
rock
out.
and roll. It's pretty neat.
Thank you.
I've heard that.
Just try to get
Somebody went and seen it. I
call him
forget.
and
I'm going to say
That's what my
Operation
sinuses are
Overlord
awful.
this week.
My
It's
sinus
about the
has been awful.
Nazis,
Yeah.
and they're experimenting with zombies, so they sent a team of
Find
commandos
out what the
to
damage
break
was
it
for
up.
sure.
that right?
How much?
Yeah, a little bit of science fiction, but I want to see
Amy
some
guessed
fucking
pretty close.
zombies.
Fernando.
walk out.
It was a
You'll
book
see it.
called off I read, Operation
Oh my
Overlord.
gosh.
Drills ruined and it's not in good shape at all.
I didn't hear the clock
I
chime.
don't know one.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order on November. Change your agendas to November.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. And we'll all stand, do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Be seated. Roll call.
Whoa.
Yes.
Tom?
Present.
David?
Here,
Rebecca?
Here.
Tammy?
Here.
And I need a motion to excuse Becky.
have that motion.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Vote.
We all jumped on that one.
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
She's in Florida. Hope she gets sunburned. We have no executive session, so the emails that you all received from the minutes of the wastewater work session on October 28th that you either got on paper or email. I need a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
I'm not ready to vote on that.
Okay.
I had a correction on one of those.
Okay.
You know, it took almost a ream of paper, and I read all this stuff while I was running it off, but... Okay. There is... Wait a minute.
God bless you, Tom.
This is the 23rd. Okay. No, I'm fine with that. There's... Okay, I'm ready. Yes, I'll vote yes.
All right. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
And you received the minutes from the council meeting we had on October 22nd.
Spelling correction on October.
Yeah, there's two of
Oh, see?
those.
Oh. I need a
Typing
motion.
error.
Yes.
Pardon?
I'll give you the motion.
Oh, okay. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
And before you, you have, or had, motion, the minutes from the finance work session on October 29th. I need a motion to approve those minutes.
Yeah, that motion, sir.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Well, there's one I have a correction on, so I don't know whether that's the one or not, but the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'll
Vote.
vote yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes,
Amy?
Yes.
And before you, you have a minutes of the water wastewater meeting on November the 1st. I need a motion to accept those.
I'll give you the motion.
I'll second.
Second.
but
Vote.
I have the correction.
Okay.
The last, where it says council also advised a statement to be added stating that this updated ordinance does rescind, is R-E-S-C-I-N-D.
Okay, so it may have been a typing.
Yeah, because the word there is a different meaning.
Okay,
And then below, I have another thought. After other discussion was talked about, discussion means you talked about it. So it's redundant.
Okay,
Other discussion should be, was the charge. That's what I would do.
oh, yeah, I see.
Okay. Yeah, see, I told you I was reading those when they wrote them, or ran them off. So, you have a motion yet?
You made it and then David seconded.
Okay. I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Lowell?
Yes?
David?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Rebecca?
yes.
And Amy?
Yes.
Very good. Jackie was,
Brush up on my spelling.
yeah. Jackie was supposed to be here. He's not here yet. Mark's in court, and utilities clerk is busy. They do not, either of the three do not have a report. So that goes us into the fiscal officer. Slash village admin, clerk counsel, Courtney Burker.
Okay, there's been a lot that's been going on, as far as the village updates, like I always start with that first. We recently had a sewer issue out here on East Main Street.
Oh,
And
West.
West Main Street. We had taken care of that. That was a 2-day event, actually, that started on Monday and ended yesterday. So we had to call in a few employees to get that taken care of. And Billy and I are going to be addressing the residents at that location, or those locations there, because we did find that there were a lot of not disposed correctly items, like pill bottles, solution containers, that were put down the commode. There were several.
Really?
Yeah, so a lot of those disposable, and we've talked about this once before, a lot of disposable wipes that are being used are not disposable.
I'm going to talk about that at round
Yeah.
table.
So there's a lot of, undisposed or broken down materials that had gotten lodged in there, and that's actually what the cause of it was. So instead of digging up holes in everybody's yard to see if there was a main break, and with all the saturation we found from a lot of the water and stuff, I mean, it wasn't a smart move to start blowing holes in people's, in their yard. So that was something that we had been dealing with for the last couple days. There also was one that Lowell had given to me about a week or two ago, and he had just purchased a house there on Rosewood that he had backup in his house too.
it's the same one I think that John tackled over a year ago.
Yeah, so there was, we had handled that, so there's a lot of backup, but what we ask, in our due diligence and preventing things like this that happen, we are going to be having guys pulling manholes. We are going to be making sure that, we are snaking some part of towns, because these areas that it happened to never normally happen that way. So,
And the problem is, Bill, way back when Jacobs built Rosewood, they tied the basement drains into the sanitary.
Yes.
And we fought that ever since that development's been there.
Should have never
And we
happened.
get the blame for it, and then we say, no, it's not our fault. But those people
Yes.
have to pay for it, so
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah, it
But
is.
That whole area is drained into the sanitary.
Yeah.
And when something gets stopped up, it all comes back into the basement.
So on other notes that we, you know, of course, you know, with the weather turning like it will be, I hear from tomorrow, there's going to be some, you know, snow removal and, you know, freezing ice and things like that. So we will be talking to the employees about what the route is going to be, how to you know, do the coverage and things like that moving forward. You'll see, you know, with the new employee that we did receive, you know, that you guys had hired, you know, a month or so ago. You'll see him probably driving around usually in the mornings or in the afternoons, looking at grates, making sure because of the leaves that, you know, the leaves are falling and they're getting down into that sewer grate. So we're making sure that those are clean. But again, we remind all of the residents we do not have leaf pickup. So you need to please make sure that you take care of that and you're not putting those on the curb. So if your tree hangs over the curb, you know, it would be nice as a courtesy to make sure that that's removed.
I know we run the same thing with grass in the summer. Some people will still take their lawnmower, won't they, Lowell, and just shoot it right across.
Out in the ditch.
So that's sort of the things that we're working on now as far as updates, but the usual, just trying to get back into, you know, the routine of things. We also have Ohio Rural Water has offered a person to come down here and train with Dennis to get his Sewer 1 operating license.
Great.
So that's free of charge. And he comes down here once a week and helps him study and answers any questions in regards to that. So it's very fortunate that they've allowed us to do that. So we've gotten that taken care of. I'm working on the budget now as far as, you know, making sure that our 2019 budget is in effect. Of course, you know, because we're under the fiscal emergency, the state does want to see that budget. So once I get that back, obviously it will be on 3 readings. So we will have to have a special meeting to place them on those 3 readings. That's just going to be in the future because we won't have, you know, 3 meetings. You know, I was counting today as one of them, but unfortunately, it's going to be reviewed, and that will be presented to finance, the committee, and I think Rebecca's going to talk more about that. But as far as updates, we're going to get, you know, the street sweeper back out and operating. I don't know if Lowell or
Today.
Billy's going to be touching that, but we're going to try and get the street sweeper out. It is fixed, but he can elaborate on that.
I can't believe people flushing bottles into
Yes.
in them lines like
Yeah,
that.
it was amazing to kind of look at it because we were over there, and you know, you could just definitely. It's just, you know, there's 450 feet from one manhole to another. So I mean, to start digging holes and, you know, estimating where that leak was, we've had the cameras down there. The guys really did have to work to see about fixing it. I mean, there was just so many different angles and so many different positions of that job that, you know, usually it's just easy to find it. But unfortunately, there was just so much blockage, and it obviously had happened, you know, several months, years prior to that. So there was, you know, once you flush it and you get that unclogged, there were a lot of pill bottles and things like that that should have not been disposed as it was. So we just want to remind everybody. But again, Billy can talk more on that if he wants. But as far as updates, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Did you trace it to one place?
No.
No, but we just remind everybody on that line to not dispose of that stuff. So that's part of those are the village updates. I have my financial reports that you guys have in front of you. I want to talk first about the RITA. If everybody has noticed
Ran out of ink.
the RITA report.
them online.
I normally look at this one last, but as you can see, there is 161,000. It's almost double than what we normally receive.
Wow.
And that's due to the delinquency
Delinquents.
program.
What page? Oh, that was the month
Uh-huh,
of October.
yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Well, that'd be right, because quarterly reports.
You guys normally range, or the village normally ranges around 60,000 at the beginning of each month, because we get paid twice. We get paid on the 1st and on the 15th.
What did they say? Did you ask them what they thought was
Yes, I did. So when I called them, it's part of the delinquency program that we're signed up in.
the what?
The delinquency program that we have signed up in. So that's good that we're, gaining and using that program.
All right.
Okay, so the next one, let's look at the payment listing. As you can see, there is one that is on there, payment check number 10738. That one was skipped because I accidentally processed a PO on it instead of processing it as a check. So that one's been voided.
What are you talking to now?
Payment listing.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I can't find it.
The Miami products is obviously our chlorine that we get monthly. Obviously, which is very cheap in that regards. They're not going to be increasing their freight. So just as an FYI, and again, this will be to council first, you will notice that there are going to be a little bit of extra on the expenditures because a lot of our suppliers and vendors have raised their freight. So there's going to be an additional monies that they're charging us for, like Massey, when they come down here and pick up our testings, they're going to be charging us more. And they've actually, are not going to be coming, they usually come 3 times a week, they're only coming 2 now. So there's going to be some additional monies that you guys will see in that increase once the budget's been presented that we had to take into account. Cintas. So I notified finance today, and pending their discussion. I spoke to Cintas, which is the maintenance of the floor agreement, so the rugs out here in front of Town Hall. They have been charging us to come in and, I should say vacuum them.
Switch them out.
That, we can vacuum them ourselves. So I negotiated, again, pending, finance's decision, to go ahead and get out of the agreement, and then they would agree to sell us the rugs for only $25 a piece.
How much?
$25 a piece.
We tried this before, and they bought. We didn't have a strong enough arm on them.
Yeah. Well, we have an email confirmation, which has been sent to finance, that says that this is an agreement. This is what they're going to charge us, and they've agreed to do that.
Good.
So you will not see this as a contractual service in the budget for next year. Because again, that came out of the general fund. And that was ranging probably around $100 a month. Okay. Massey Services, of course, you'll see that. The electric, I spoke about that. That total amount there is including the water department. So when we start talking about the $10,000 about the electricity, I've talked about this last meeting, it has been reduced. But moving into the winter season, again, we've never been on track with the winter season over here at the water plant. So, that's going to be, something that I will monitor to make sure that we're in that. But it's actually reduced quite significantly.
And when do the rates kick in for when we had that analyst?
Back in May, or it's going to come in May.
In May? Okay.
Yes. But it already kicked in for the new water plant.
Okay.
Let's see. And then the other ones that you'll just see supplies, Postmaster Mount Sterling. Of course, that's for our stamps and the pre-printed postage on our water and sewer bills. And all these other ones are just supplies that are needed for sewer, street, water. Any questions on that? Okay, the comparison budget of appropriated. As you can see here, the general fund is at $301,292.93, and you'll still see the negatives there for the street and the highway. That will, once the state has approved that, we'll go ahead and make those transfers, and then you'll see that deduction from the general account. So you'll see Of course, you'll see that the water operating, you'll need to look at that as well. And that will show a reflection come January 1st. Okay, the revenue status. Again, this is one that I like to show you guys as far as the money that's coming in. If you can turn to page 2, you'll see that it's at 113% of over what was budgeted, so that's good. It's very good. Again, a lot of that takes credit to the delinquency program that we're involved in. And then also, a lot of people like to watch cable, so there's a lot of people in town that are purchasing cable
Yeah.
plans. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, the receipt listing. And again, it's been almost 3 weeks since we've had a meeting, so that's why your receipt listing is a couple pages long. A lot of that Village of Mount Sterling, this is the water and the sewer payments. And again, this receipt listing would have been pulled from that Friday of our last council meeting, is how I like to pull it. And let's see, you got Rita in here. You have a lot of this is
Appropriation status report. You haven't done that one yet?
no,
Okay,
no, I'm a little out of order today.
okay.
So the Village of Mount Sterling, you'll see a lot of those on there. This tax exemption tax that you see for $22, the IRS had went and did, usually what happens is once you process your taxes, they do an audit from, like, it could be whatever year they picked. Like, for instance, this one was in 2015. They showed that there was a person that was an ARETA payer, a resident here, that showed that they had overcharged them $22.78. So they were withholding the $22.78. So what they've done is they went ahead and issued that back to the village. So they gave us $22.78. Again, that's part of that delinquency program too, that goes and says they want to make sure that they're not taking too much money, but that they are charging them the money that they owe. Okay, so let's see. Okay, the fund status here, you guys will see that next. The general fund looks fairly healthy, as you can tell. This was as of Friday.
Those two, the second two, street and state highway, that's from the past, right?
Yes. But I'll need to make those adjustments
Yeah.
that we talked about, during the commission meeting and with the state. Okay, appropriation status. And this is kind of what I work on. Appropriation status, if anybody needs to know, that's pretty much the one and only report that really shows a lot of expenditures, and that's really what is an important report, I feel. So if you guys look at page 3 for the general, we are at 84%. That's exactly right where we need to be.
Good.
Going into, that's actually under, going into the last month of the year, because again, we're on calendar year for budget. So that's looking very good at 84%. A lot of these, now you'll notice, and I keep talking about the one where that ADP, which is our payroll system, they had been withdrawing incorrect monies from Misty and I. They had us set up for Social Security, Medicare, and OPERS. So they were taking those monies, withdrawn those since 2017, okay? I had just gotten the IRS checks. So the IRS went through them, they processed them. So you guys will, on your next council meeting, you will see checks written to me, to myself, to Misty, and also to the village. Because again, the money has to go back into the village because that's where they took it from. So you'll see a credit back to the village, you'll see a credit to me, and a credit to Misty. So once I get those figures, which I do have them, but again, I'd like to double check it to make sure that the percentages are right, the amounts are right, because they had to amend our taxes from every period, every quarter.
Yeah.
So that's what took so long. Of course, the IRS wants to double check that as well.
Once the IRS gets it, we don't.
That's right. So the IRS definitely wanted to make sure that before they cut that check, that those monies were correct. So you guys will see that. I did get those checks last week. So I'm making sure that those adjustments and those receipts are receipted correctly. Street fund, 30%, very, very good. Very good with that. I'm have been good with that. But again, looking for the future, we have an employee that will be taking out of that too, about 50% out of that. And let's see, I always like to look at the water fund, and that's on page 8. That's at 52%, very, very good. But again, operating at 52% with a new water plant is probably not going to be the same probably for next year. So just an FYI that these numbers are for 18 as we move to a more credible, number, which I think we're going to be working with good numbers coming into 19. We're going to be probably on track with stuff. So you're not going to see a big, savings, I should say, in that 52%. Because we're going to really have good numbers to work with next year. Okay, so last but not least, I do have my bank reconciliation for October. Everything has been bookkeep down to the penny, so we are not out of balance. Everything is set correctly. There also was a deflated bank error that you guys will see here, right here in this section right here. So what happens, what happened with this, and I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, when people write out a check, the bank never really looks at the total in that little box there, the 10. They actually look at what's written. So what Misty does is when she takes, and this happened to be on a water and a sewer payment, when she takes those checks, she puts it through a check reader, and the check reader actually reads it. Well, the check reader read it 30-cent difference.
Oh.
So instead of it being, I think it was like 54.11, it was 54.34 or something. So it misread it for that 30 cents. So I did put a note on here that per bank error, bank return check for the wrong amount. It was returned for $51.41. Now, in addition to this, is kind of what we talked about during our committee or work session about return check, because it was returned for the wrong amount, but it also was an NSF check as well. So it was kind of a double duty issue. We first had to deal with, okay, we need to, contact this person. They need to pay us in another form, or let us rerun it back through. And then again, it was returned. When it got returned, it was returned with the wrong amount.
Sounds like it's a double whammy.
It was. It surely was. So that one was a bit of a, a bit of an error or issue on that part.
And it's very hard to find.
But it is. It is. So she had to look back through her checks and, look at the wording, look at the name, and then, and it does. Like when she submits them, it'll come back where somebody had wrote, it looks like a 8 and it should have been a 6. So it definitely does take a lot of time to look back through those. Also, you'll see the bank errors and the payments of UAN. Those are still there. That's what Jim and the auditors keep talking about, is now that we have all of the audit back from 13 until 17, 13 through 15, I should say. Once we get those back, then we can make these adjustments and remove these from my bank rec. But as far as today, we are to the penny on here. And I just need people to sign that. And I think I'm done with my reports.
Done? Okay, to follow up on
Motion on this.
some of her shared responsibilities as village administrator, the street sweeper is repaired. There was 2 hydraulic hoses that were leaking. We got Todd down here, had to almost take the thing apart because there's like 40 hydraulic hoses in there. But we did. He got them repaired. He got it cleaned up. It'll probably be on the highway this afternoon. And he's got it working very well. It does a good job now. The next item, I've had some residents out in the Cliffview questioned me about the Crawford Ditch. In my last conversation with the engineer's office, Crawford Ditch project will be done this year. It'll be done before Christmas. I thought the same thing. It's getting too cold, but they assured me that it would be done. And the next thing that Courtney talked about is sewers. And this has been an ongoing problem. When our sewers was put in this town, there was no such thing as wet wipes. There was no such thing as Q-tips, plastic toys, plastic bottles, small infant diapers,
Pampers.
adult care, sanitary napkins. Way too many of that stuff is going in our sewer system, and it began over on East Columbus, way back in the woods, when we went down there and it smelt to high heaven, couldn't find it. And finally, after a couple of days, the guys found out that it was on the side of the hill down there in the woods. Same problem. Same problem at my place when my sewer got plugged up. When it busted loose, it was full of that particular stuff. So we just have to make the public aware that you cannot use anything in our sewer system with the exception of toilet paper. Everything else must go in the trash. Grease, big balls of grease. Once it gets hard, it turns into big, large chunks, and there was large chunks of grease come out. Our system is so old, it's never been updated in like 100 years, and all this stuff gets collected in there, and our guys are constantly going from East Columbus over to Rosewood, out here on Main Street, and then we've got the homeowner wanting us to pick the cost up. You know, there's two upset homeowners out here on West Main that are upset because we're not paying for whatever they had in their basement. The same thing out at Cliffview. The same thing out on East Columbus. And none of them have check valves. You have to have a check valve in your sewer thing, like at Rosewood. If they all had check valves, they wouldn't have that problem.
Right.
So Courtney is going to set up a routine so that they hit a certain sewage, sanitary sewer, every so many months, so that it doesn't have time
To build up.
to build up in a pipe this big. And maybe this one, like she said, was 450 feet. Well, there's a lot of homes in between that 450 feet. And there's side pipe. So it creates a problem for us when the public puts all that stuff in the sewer
Hey,
system.
Bill, I got a question. Do they still, a lot of the house still have that old Ray clay tile yet?
Oh,
Yeah, I
we
know.
run into clay tile yesterday.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
It will crumble in time.
So she's going to set up a schedule, and hopefully we can hit all these on a regular basis, so that we won't have to spend 2 days and 3 people getting a plug unplugged, because you always run a risk with that head that they're using of breaking some of those old clay tile. Then we are in trouble. Then we have to start blowing holes and replacing tile. So we just need to make the public aware of not to put anything
If they
in.
recycle those bottles,
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible to see what kind of stuff that came through there. But I think the biggest issue is things like wet wipes and baby wipes and that kind of stuff that creates a problem down the sewer plant because it won't process that stuff down there. So
I know a lot of people try to flush them Pampers too.
yeah,
We've seen
baby
that.
That is not
baby
gonna work.
Pampers,
Yeah,
the little ones.
yeah.
We've seen that too.
So hopefully we'll get something put on our webpage, you know, alerting the public, you know, please help us help you by watching what you throw down the toilet. Yeah, so that's it for me as far as sharing responsibility with her. Now, I need a motion to accept the payment listing report that she read to you.
You have that motion?
Second,
I'll second.
vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the receipt listing report she described.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the comparison budget appropriated report she read to you.
Have that motion, sir?
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept the cash summary by funds report.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the revenue status report in front of you.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the appropriation status report.
Have that motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the bank reconciliation report you have in front of you.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yeah.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
Thank you. Last but not least, I need a motion to accept, and I give credit where credit is due, the reader report from the two people that deal with that. That's her and her. Because of their diligence, we're getting up, like she said, money that's been due to us that we haven't collected in the past, we're now collecting. So I need a motion to accept the reader report.
You have that motion?
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. A vote.
Lowell,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes?
Tammy.
Yes.
Thank you. That leads us to committee reports. Finance Committee, Rebecca Burns.
Okay, back on October 25th, we had a financial commission meeting, which is the kind of like the oversight committee that really is in place while we are in this fiscal emergency. Everyone was present and the meeting went quite well. The new thing that we'll be working on is we'll be gearing up for the budget. We're going to have a finance committee meeting. Normally it's on Monday, but due to a conflict on my schedule, we're going to have it on Tuesday, November 20th, this coming Tuesday at 1:15. And like I said, this is going to be a committee meeting. For what I understand, Courtney's been working hard on the budget for 2019, but before it's released to even finance or to council, it goes to the auditors. So I believe it's in their hands right now to take a look at it. So hopefully we will have that on Tuesday, but there's a lot of different things that we are going to be gearing up for next year. So that will be the purpose really of our meeting on Tuesday. 1:15. Like I said, it's a committee meeting, but all council members are welcome to sit in. And we came in on Friday to look over all the POs that Courtney had accumulated in the last 3 weeks. So that was quite a pile, as you can tell from the payment listing that you saw. But staying on top of the bills and everything, and still looking to see where we can save money. I appreciate the Cintas. That could be something, $20 or $50. Every dollar makes a difference. And that's it.
All right, Pleasant Township, she's not here. We'll put that on hold. Squad, Mr. Anderson,
Tonight, they meet tonight,
tonight,
8 o'clock, right?
8 o'clock.
a one-word report. Very good. Fire, Tom Ward.
I'll do my best for you. During the meeting, of course, they approved their bills and passed their minutes. Old business, there was none. There was a motion passed to bring on a new fireman on the fire department, and the motion passed, and the person they brought on was Colton Ward. That's my grandson. I was not able to vote due to the conflict of interest, but it was a blessing to be there to see my grandson get brought on.
That's awesome.
So that tickled me pink. And the next meeting will be on November the 29th at 8 p.m. And that's all I have, sir.
Very good.
I'm sorry, what was the next date?
November the 29th. What did I say, October? I apologize.
No, you said November. You said November.
Water, wastewater, Rebecca.
Well, as you can see from all the minutes that we've approved, we had been quite busy. After going through all of the discussion and the passing of things for the water, wastewater rates, our next thing turned towards the processing. And you'll see legislation here in a little bit that we came up with. It took 2 or 3 work sessions to really look at the processing in place to see what we felt was most fair for the residents, and to come up with very concrete rules to follow. And so that council's recommendation for the ordinance will be coming up here in a little bit. So that was really the big bulk of the work sessions, and everything was to look at the water processing. The other thing that I want to work on is we had discussed just a few lists that we would like to see from the water department on a monthly basis. Just things such as, I know that we are given reports on delinquencies, but then to take that even further, are there any adjustments? Are there any reconnect fees? Just anything involving the numbers. Misty said she would be glad to provide it. We just need to provide her with a list of what we want to see. So I want to get a list together, Courtney, and perhaps do it in the finance meeting since we are talking numbers, but a list of some of the water reports that council can have so they can see the numbers. And that's about it.
These water reports, what kind of reports do you want to see?
The things involving the numbers, and we mentioned it at the end of our last work session, and Misty said that she would be glad to provide it as long as we gave her a list of what we wanted to see. Of course, amounts, the delinquencies, for example. I don't have the list in front of me, Billy, but I'd also like to see, I think it would be beneficial to see what type of adjustments or write-offs are done on a monthly basis. Anything involving the numbers, maybe even reconnect fees that might be collected for.
Well, that would come in her report before council, wouldn't it? Reconnect fees or?
Well, I have it, and that's, we were just saying that.
Thinking of.
Yeah, just things that
Okay.
we, just to see the numbers, reconnect fees, and if anything involving fees or anything like that, I think it'd be very beneficial because numbers tell the story. And I think there were 3 or 4 reports that we came up with. I just need to write those down and then review them, make sure that they're something that can be produced, and then give those to Misty so that council can be presented with those as part of her water report every month.
Okay, I'll take that up with her. She can make that information available to council at any time.
I was thinking kind of like with Courtney's reports that are presented to council monthly so that we see the numbers, especially with the critical nature of what we have gone through with the water, wastewater. Seeing the council having the numbers for those two in the form of reports would be beneficial.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to her about that.
Okey doke.
See if we got time to make that stuff up. Street, Rebecca Burns.
Okay, I wanted to report on an ongoing issue, and it has to do with the alley between the Sunoco and the fire station, and deliveries. And I know that we had a business owner come and talk to council about how the alley is blocked.
Yes.
And so we found in the minutes from 2012 that there was a discussion about the same situation, and there was a motion made at the time, and it was seconded and passed unanimously by council to allow 1 hour parking. It didn't specify for what business, but to allow 1 hour parking in the alley between the Sunoco gas station and the fire department. That's the only legislation or anything I found that addresses that situation. Unfortunately, I do have a couple pictures recently since the business owner came and addressed council a month or two ago, where there was a delivery truck blocking the intersection of the alleys, which, I'm thinking between, Columbus Street, that one alley, between the intersection of the alleys. I think that's what they were referring to, but I even have another picture where a delivery truck was blocking the entrance to the drive-through. So it seems to be an ongoing situation. I'm receiving notifications of this, and I don't know if I should schedule a committee meeting at this time to revisit. Obviously, we do not have a lot of parking in this village. Businesses need to have their deliveries, and I think it's also, as long as we don't block access, which I think the purpose of the original legislation was. You can still access one business by going behind the Sunoco gas station. And I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention, because it seems to be a little bit of an ongoing issue. I see heads nodding. I think others have heard about this.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
I have. And when council brought it up, they made a motion. Was that in a resolution form or an orange form?
It was a verbal motion that was made in 2012, and I have a copy of those.
I don't know what the worth of that would be as far as the law is concerned, but both property owners come and talk to me, and I talk to them. And every business around town at one time or other blocks alleys.
Right.
They have to have their deliveries. The town wasn't designed for semis and that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So I talked to the owner in question. I asked him to make sure that, if at all possible, to never block the intersection. I mean, the business in question has 5 entry points. Mm-hmm. 5 entry points. At any one time, maybe one of them is partially blocked. So he told me that he would tell every delivery person to try to park on as much of his property as possible. Unlike some businesses who park in the whole alley or in the street, which they don't do.
Right.
That business owner has complained about a lot of things, and I can understand if someone's blocking that intersection, but I've never seen that intersection being blocked.
Yeah, I have just only once, at least, a picture that I was sent. It was probably within the last 6 weeks or so, but I've never seen that happen before.
No.
And as I said, I know that I have found other things where a verbal motion was made that seems to hold true. I think, in resolution or ordinance form, of course, on paper it's better, but, I think it's just businesses it's not easy with the deliveries. And
No,
obviously they need the deliveries in order to provide what they do for the residents and for the people in the village.
Right.
And I think it's just kind of like a mutual consideration and understanding that there has got to be, if we limit it to that one area between the intersection of the alleys and Columbus Street and limit it to 1 hour, there are still other ways to access other businesses. And I don't know if there's anything else that can be done. But I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention in case I know, as I said, I see people nodding their heads that they've heard about it also. I did send a copy of the legislation to the person that was bringing it to my attention so they could see what council had decided back in 2012. And I think that's as fair as we can get right now, honestly. We're not blocking Columbus Street, which is a major thoroughfare.
No,
We're not blocking access to other businesses.
We're not blocking anything.
Right, so I just wanted to bring it to people's attentions. If there was something that I was
Okay.
overlooking,
That legislation in 2012, that was a verbal only. It
it
was
was
never
verbal,
signed.
that's correct. But there was other legislation I've come across.
Minutes were approved.
The minutes were approved, so I mean, like, obviously, the mayor would have signed it, and generally the village solicitor and the clerk, I believe, are the three that sign it. So that's the acceptance of the minutes.
Yeah.
So that issue has been taken care of.
So I just wanted to, like, just put it out there, and I think that that's where we stand, unless there is another suggestion, but I really feel at this time that that's the fairest solution that we can do, because most businesses are going to have that issue with deliveries, and I think everybody tries to be respectful. So anyway,
Right.
that's it.
All righty. Parks and Rec, Rebecca.
Nothing to report.
Record of retention, Mr. Anderson.
Nothing at this time.
Nuisance and abatement, Tammy Van Sickle.
Where do I start? I wanted to remind, since you mentioned the leaves, I want to remind residents it's their responsibility for the limbs or brush hanging over into our alleys and over onto the sidewalks. It's their responsibility, not our guys, not the villages, to go through and trim them down.
In the alleys, did you say?
Yes, alleys
Okay.
and hanging over on the sidewalk on their properties. We did open the gates on November 3rd for 3 hours. A couple people came down, took advantage of it, but we did offer to open it on a special time. And I wanted to thank Tom for being down there in the cold with me, and thank the mayor for going down opening the gate. Then I wanted to, I know I've mentioned it before, but I want to come up, I'm going to get a sheet and have a sign-up sheet for a list of volunteers. I challenge council members that are able to help, but to help the senior citizens and the disabled. You know, if they got sidewalk snow and they can't get out, if they got the brush and the limbs coming over and they can't get out, residents or whoever to sign up, give their phone number, and if the people call up and say, I just can't do it, you know, we have somebody or they have someone they can call.
That's
That'll go
nice.
help them out free of charge. Also, there will not be, I'm not going to have a meeting in December because the meeting would fall on the 26th. And I just wanted to update from January, when I took over the nuisance and abatement, there's been between 175 and 200 tags
Wow.
issued. And there's maybe been 10 non-compliance. So the residents have complied. Some of them you just got to be on them a little more, you know, and hound them. But I think that's pretty good out of close to 200.
Great job.
Have 10 of them that we have to get on to. And we have some issues we'll deal with on certain streets. It's like the parking thing. Sometimes you just got to let them fight it out. Our next meeting will be on November the 28th at 3:30.
What date?
November the 28th at 3:30. And that's it.
Block Watch, Mr. Ward.
I want to thank everybody on Block Watch that went out during Halloween for the kids, helped keep the kids safe, and I want to thank them very, very much for that. And pretty much that's all I've got for that. We'll have another meeting tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow evening at 7 p.m.
Biggest Halloween turnout I've seen.
A lot of kids. I had a lot of kids.
I
that
sure
had-
am glad we didn't cancel that.
There was a lot of people out there that was on Block Watch that was out there. Just a few of them were seen that was visible.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of them out there that
I
wasn't
seen a couple
visible.
of them.
And I was
That's
really
good.
I was really glad
Did
to
a
see
good
that.
job.
Thank you all.
Good
I brought
job.
this up for Tom. We like I said, we went up every street and I only had one little incident. One little girl scraped her knee, but it was nothing serious.
Good. That runs us into ordinances and resolutions.
Just a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go back to Rebecca's finance. She has a meeting for November what?
It's November 20th, next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday at 1:15.
All right. That's what I had, but I didn't believe it.
Yeah, usually it's on Monday, but
Okay. Ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2018-62, an ordinance adopting procedure and methodologies for the payment of water and sewer bills, and we are declaring this an emergency so that this can become effective as soon as possible. I need a motion to suspend the rules for 2018-62.
You have that motion?
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Holt,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to place this on first, second, third readings.
You had that motion?
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
I need a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-62.
You got it.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Comments. Everybody knows what this is about? Everybody knows why we're doing this? No comments? Vote.
Lowell,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Thank you all. Ordinance 2018-63. This is a resolution. Is this an ordinance or a resolution?
this is a resolution.
Okay. Authorizing, I thought so, Courtney Bricker as fiscal officer to create a line item. You see the numbers, make adjustments between line items pursuant to the request of state auditor's office. And they want this done now, was why we're declaring it an emergency. So Resolution 218-63, I need a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to place it on the first, second, and third readings.
You have that motion?
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowell,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
I need a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-63.
Yes?
Second.
I'll second.
Comments. You all know, I think you all know what that's about.
yeah, was it pretty self-explanatory with everybody? Okay.
Vote.
Lowell,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
That concludes resolutions. Roundtable.
Yes. I read in the Madison Messenger with interest that the village of Mount Sterling, through the county auditors, is going to have some help.
Pardon?
Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
I said, everybody see that, did they?
well, there's more to, I guess, to talk about it.
Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah.
I hope that's not all it is. It isn't, huh?
Any other comments? I have a comment in the roundtable. I understand that two of my council persons had a meeting in Columbus with the auditors, Auditor Hinkle, April, an attorney, Mark, and another lady, along with two, let's call them civilians or private citizens, in the past several days. Would anybody like to enlighten us on the meeting that you two went to in Columbus? Share that with the rest of council?
Certainly. It was initiated by actually the Vice President of our Chamber of Commerce. There's been a long process going on with copies of all of the OWDA loans that have gotten us into the situation that we're in while reviewing the loans. And I'm talking over 400 pages of printed documents that I have copies of. I have it in email too. They were public records if anybody wants to see them. But it brought up a whole number of different questions and things that when looking at the ORC, there were questions. Is this, the validity of certain things and the amount of the loan versus the value of Mount Sterling? There is ORC considerations in there. So there was a lot of different things that we wanted, and as we discussed it, and we were looking into, doing our own, looking into the past, what got us into the position where now the residents and businesses have to carry the burden of this $50 a month increase on their water bills. And we know that we had to do the tough thing because we're responsible to pay those bills, but still looking to see if there was any recourse. Was there anything that could give us any leverage against the OWDA to perhaps restructure loans or things like that, which was the primary purpose of the meeting, because a lot of it did involve comparing that there is ORC about course procedures that are followed, about the amount of a loan that can be taken out without even voter approval. Some, if it's a certain percentage of the value of a village or whatever, then there is a percentage that, if it's over a certain percentage of the value of the village, that needs vote. And there's certain, it's noon. So, I did not bring my list with me. We met for an hour and a half or so. A lot of different questions. When you look through those loans, I still think that our responsibility, at least I feel very strongly about it, is to see if there's anything whatsoever that we can do to even reduce the burden off the citizens. I mean, the rate increase is in place. That's a done deal. But going forward, what could we do? And I'm going to pursue, that's something I just feel very committed to, any angle that I can. Now, the vice president of the chamber set up the meeting, but because he was as involved in looking through these old loan documents, all those outstanding loans, and of course it's affecting businesses too, so chamber people were there and as well. And so I'm waiting to hear back on several different key points that they weren't sure of. I mean, they understood, and you could see them looking up things on their phones and stuff to look up the ORC. That's why they had their own head of legal counsel there. But, as of this point, there was nothing that was decided at that meeting, except it gave us the opportunity to express a list of concerns that had been found during the process of going through these loans. Once I hear anything back, a definitive answer, and I will be glad to share that with everybody.
Who's gone through the contracts? Who are we talking about here? The vice president of the Chamber of Commerce, you say he went back and looked through our contracts?
No, the loan applications for the OWDA loans that we have.
And what
I've been doing that
reason
too.
Did he have?
I've looked through
Pardon?
them. And I've looked through them.
Okay, so he was involved with you two. He don't even live in town, is why.
No, but the library is affected by the water rate increase also, and I think there are concerned people. And I have said, for anybody that wants to see these loan applications, they are public records. Right. I have them in the form of email. There is nothing secret or hidden by these. They tell a story, I feel. They tell a story because you have to show to the OWDA that you have the ability to pay back your loan. And that's without, there was one, for example, that mentioned a 2% water increase starting in 2017. Well, as we know, a 2% water rate increase at the beginning of 2017 would not cover the future loan payments, for example. So looking at that, we know that there was a cutback at Caheen as far as water usage. Is that enough? You know, there's different things, but you still want to look, how could they justify, you know, how did we show that we had the ability to pay this back, you know, given different things? Because legislation that was passed in early 2016 was actually 3 different OWDA loans involving the 2013 digging of the wells, involving the land purchase in 2015, as well as then the entering into a contract with JCAR to build the water plant in 16. So when you go through those loan documents, you know, I can't make a legal determination on things. I'm not a lawyer, but there are definitely things that brought up questions. And when
Well,
others,
you're talking about legality, and then you're talking about, I mean, a lawyer's not a bookkeeper either, or not an engineer.
no, but the whole picture is you know, that's where you know, I'm not an expert on these things, but you look at things and you think, that's, you know, how can we pay back? Well, of course, now we know, okay, a $50 water rate increase. But as I said, we had a full page of questions that we could not find the answers to.
And you presented these questions to Hinkle, Mr. Hinkle, the auditor?
To the group that was there yesterday, which was Mr. Hinkle, the head legal person for, I believe, ORC. I know that I'm waiting to hear back. April Davis was there, and a lady by the first name of Eunice.
Mm-hmm. That's April's boss.
Mm-hmm.
And what was their, and they're going to research these?
There's a few things that they're going to research
They're
as
gonna
far
research
as
and get back with
Mm-hmm.
you or
Mm-hmm.
us? Okay.
He
And
said
this-
he was gonna check into them.
Pardon?
They give you a timeline?
No, I think fairly quickly because, no, but he didn't say tomorrow or next week.
They have other jobs, so.
Well, certainly, yeah, and I think they're going to be seeing a change with, you know, at the state auditor's office with a new person coming in. But it's still very attentive as far as what Mount Sterling maybe, you know, I think a lot of people are aware. You know, there were certain things, and it was something that April Davis originally had recommended too, maybe look in to see if there's something that could be restructured with OWDA. So, but in order to do that, you know, it's like trying to be as well as informed.
Well, restructuring with OWDA, that would come from us. We would get a hold of Ohio Water. Okay. So I'm sure that was her suggestion, that if anything's going to be done, it's going to be done by me and her.
Actually, it was discussed that everybody work together and everybody come up with.
Well, it seems to me that we all haven't been working together.
Right, exactly.
I just found out about this yesterday.
She said, you know.
You all know about this?
It was brought up at the Financial Commission meeting, Billy, that we were going to have this meeting, and you were asked to attend, and you said that you were given advice not to attend.
I was given advice by a lawyer from that commission meeting
Right,
not to attend a meeting with Mr. Crisco and Mr. Hinkle. No one else was ever mentioned.
They
Okay?
invited everybody.
Okay.
When he came
They
in.
invited everybody, but
Everybody was
what
invited.
she's in reference to was a private meeting between myself, Chris Crisco, and Mr. Hinkle with the auditor's office. The lawyer with the commission recommended that I not attend any meetings. That they would direct me, send me in the direction that they wanted me to go, and her. So that's why I didn't attend.
This meeting was held when?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
And as I said, I have a list of a whole full page of items that we had come up that we questioned, that we would like, you know, that we were curious about. And so it went for about an hour and a half. It was at downtown Columbus at their office.
So the 2 council members are you and Tammy?
Yes.
And as finance, right?
It wasn't, it was investigative from the past. It was not about current financial legislation or decisions. It was looking 100% into the previous loans that got the village into the situation it is, and questions that arose from looking through the loans.
I had talked to Bill and talked to Courtney about meeting with DeWine after election and Yost. I did that with Bill's knowledge, but now I don't see the necessity of doing it. If you're going to go this way, I won't pursue.
Well, I don't know what direction they're heading. I'm not involved in this.
No, but I had talked to you.
Yes,
about
we had, but this is something completely
Separate.
different that I was unaware of.
No.
So, not that, we discussed what you discussed with us. And,
I don't know where to go now. That
well, we'll decide,
I'll talk with you.
we'll decide on a direction
Between
ahead.
the Governor and
But
Yost is going
we'll all do it together.
Attorney General, so we still have the same participants.
Yeah.
I got one more thing for
Go
you.
right ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank all the village for turning out on Veterans Day as SAL commander. We had over 60 people attend, and just you could feel the patriotism there. And I know Mr. Anderson was there, and I saw Bill, and it was just good to have Benny come up. And also with Thanksgiving, I know it's been a rough year, but we still got a lot to be thankful for. Everything we've been through and everything, and on a good point.
We do.
And isn't there a dinner or something?
Yeah, I was going to say that this Saturday, at the American Legion, from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, the Chamber's having their community appreciation dinner. It's going to be a full dinner. They do a wonderful job cooking. And it'll be a full Thanksgiving dinner, free to the community. You can come in and eat. You can come in and get it to take out or have delivery.
What was that time again?
It's going to be from 2 o'clock into 4 o'clock, and it's going to be this Saturday, which I think is the 17th of November.
Yeah. In-town deliveries.
Mm-hmm. In-town deliveries, yes.
In-town deliveries.
And, yeah, you can call. I believe there'll be ham or turkey and all the fixings. Every year,
Yes.
It's wonderful. And so we really highly encourage. It's just our way of saying thank you to the community, help kick off the holiday season, and but even if it's like 10 dinners to Sterling Place or whatever, and it's all possible. Just please mark your calendars and let people know.
Is there somebody we could contact to make the list of maybe some elderly people or people who are sick and cannot get out, who might want to have something delivered? Is there a number somebody can call?
They call up. They call the American Legion.
They call it.
Have you got that phone number, Bill?
2765.
Thank you, sir.
And then they'll order how many dinners, whether they want ham, turkey, and then what address.
Okay.
And there's 2 or 3 of us that deliver meals.
If you need help, then call me.
Well, I will. I know Steve and I will be delivering, and I think he said Chris is going to try to
Is
make
this
it.
going to be there?
He's going to be there. So that's 3 of us, and they kept us going.
Okay, this Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Well, you've got my phone number, put my name, in case you need me.
Okay. We'll do it.
Thank you.
So you have mine. On the same subject, Bill, it's Joanne Rice usually is involved with your food. Does the Legion offer them any gratuity for what they do, like a tip or some money? They do? Do you collect it?
Yeah.
Because I think they're worthy of some money.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to.
I take care of that.
I want you to contact me when you solicit money for
Well,
those people.
we don't solicit money. We just
I know.
pass it out.
But would you contact me?
Yes,
if you
yes.
Pick up an offering or whatever you do.
Yeah. I will.
All right.
we'll take them. The business over here, we furnish flags. We don't want paid for them, but she had to write us a check, which, we thanked her for. But no, we don't want anything for flags or food or anything. I mean, I take care of that through the canteen.
Well, let me know.
Okay, no problem. I will.
Yeah, 'cause them ladies do work hard out there.
Yes,
They do. They made a really good dinner
They
Sunday.
can cook.
Sunday they had ham and turkey. Sunday.
Yeah,
Big dinner
it's
Sunday.
all kinds of
That
jobs.
was for your,
Veterans.
Yeah, we had that.
Any veteran
A
was.
lot of great things
Any
they
veterans
do.
welcome,
We chowed down good, it's all I said.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
and we will this Saturday too.
I have some other questions. Don't
Okay.
run away. I have a couple questions to ask you that
Okay.
I think it is executive material.
Okay.
But another thing, has the Legion ever thought of supplying wreaths? You know how across America they collect money and put Christmas wreaths
Reeves.
on the veterans' graves. I've talked to you about it before, but I think it has to go through the veterans, and it's kind of expensive. It has to go through the Legion maybe, and we've talked about it before.
We
did a
we
couple-
put the flags on in the spring,
you
but
see,
as far as wreaths or anything, I don't even
I
know.
don't know if we ever done that.
I don't think it's ever been brought up, has
No,
it?
we never brought up at the meetings,
it's never been done,
Okay.
but I have on 2 or 3 occasions placed wreaths out at the Legion.
Oh,
Out at the,
I've read about, like Lowell's talking about in the Legion magazine, and it's like Lowell's expensive, and each Christmas
bet it
wreath, they
is.
put on a
it's
lot of
across
great.
America.
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to see us somewhere in this community do this.
because I think we
That's
ordered
the
1,200 flags.
Yeah.
Well, this is in addition.
Now, there's a great flags, 1,200 great flags.
Oh, is that what you have out here? 1,200?
I think so.
See, we couldn't afford that many wreaths, but
Yeah.
we could start.
And 2 Johnny
have-
Rebs.
Yeah,
Have them at the flagpole or something.
okay. I'll run that by him.
Oh, one more thing, Bill, I want to bring up. Don't forget about the fire department. They're doing their toys for
Oh, that's a good program.
children, and not till December.
I got the letter right here.
Okay, good.
I have one other item real quickly.
Okay.
About these loans, when I started looking through them a couple months ago at least, Mr. Mayor, I did bring it to your attention that there was questions and concerns I had, and you told me you did not want to hear anything about it. You showed no interest. So I wasn't going to drop it at that point. I've been pursuing it ever since because you said you did not want to hear it, and there was 2 witnesses to that.
Okay.
So when you say that about not working together, I wanted to bring, there's a lot of concerns I've had, but when you said you didn't want to hear anything about it, I wasn't going to drop it just because of that. So
Well, when you brought that to my attention, I'm under fiscal emergency. If you have an issue with contracts or loans or payments or anything else, the place to bring it is at that commission meeting. I don't have a clue about what IBI or ME or what JCAR or what Ohio Rural Water did. You were here. You went through all those contracts, not me. So to bring it up to me now when I'm trying to operate a village 24 hours a day, that's why I said, look, I don't have time for that, Rebecca. It's been looked over for 2
where
years
was
now
our
by the
village
editor.
solicitor during that whole process watching
He
out
was
for
right
our
here,
interests?
putting his name down. Look, our solicitor is not an engineer. He's not a financial wizard.
Supposed to watch out for the contractual duties of
And
the
so
village.
was you. You
He
were on
was
council.
advising us.
He
That's where I have a
advised you that
problem.
everything on that paper was true. I've already talked to the auditor, the lawyer at the
For
auditor's
$40,000
office.
a year, which is twice
he-
as much as any other village pays, to not have someone advising council that they gave, all of us, whoever was on back then, gave our, the rules of council, our financial authority away when we didn't realize that when he's supposed to be advising us contractually. when you are looking at some of the different things, and there was, saying that everything is approved to form and to content, and when there is ORC code to this day that is not being followed. Now, that's a problem.
Well, then how'd they get by all the experts? How'd they get by higher rural
How
water
did it
experts?
get past a guy that's making $40,000 a year to watch out for us?
He is to answer any legal questions.
Read the ORC about his duties.
About him. He gives you legal advice when you ask him for it.
But he doesn't
signed those forms to be true to what they got on them.
He doesn't watch out for us and say, hey, because this is against ORC, we need to look at this.
That's not his job. His job is to give legal advice.
Well, then I think we could find someone else for a lot less that would probably
You ain't going to find anybody else.
Oh, I disagree.
For a lot less. What?
What is his job then?
To give legal advice.
No, he said to write legislation and attend meetings. He didn't say anything about watching out for the contractual interests of the village. That's what I have a problem with.
I don't know.
And then you say you wasn't told. And then she tells you that you was approached to try to come to you and tell you. Then you say, I didn't want to hear it.
I did say that.
Mr. Mayor, but you say here right here and say you wasn't told. Was you?
No, I wasn't told about the meetings what I said.
Well, I'm talking about when you said you was not told, that you wasn't aware of what was going on. Was you or was you not, though?
I was aware of what she told me, yes.
And wanted to be told something, and you was told you did not want to hear it.
That's exactly what I said. I don't want to deal with that contract and those loans right now. That's what I said. That stuff needs to be taken to that commission. That commission oversees us. That stuff needs to be taken to the auditor.
I'm also looking at what got us to this point. And
you know what the judge in Madison County said got us to that point? We had 6 people down here asleep. That's what he told me.
And we have a solicitor that did not volunteer to look out for the contractual interests.
He did exactly what he gets paid to do.
Well, I would like to bring in
a
few people that have been recommended that would probably do a little bit more thorough of a job for the village and make sure contractually and by the ORC that we are following.
No, he was doing just fine until you brought up these contracts because you're not happy with that rate increase. He was doing a terrific job. He got his contract renewed. I've been told from several lawyers that he puts a lot more time in here. If you got another lawyer and he charges you by the hour, your expenses are going up 3 times what he charges a year.
The villages
That's why we renew these contracts.
$15,000 to $20,000.
But because he didn't agree with you filing bankruptcy, you got mad at him.
That's not
didn't
true.
You got mad at him that day when we had a meeting in there.
No.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes, you got mad. You and Steve says she's just going to resign. And you was mad at him.
I didn't say that.
And you've been mad at him ever since. When she wanted to file bankruptcy and he said, no, you can't do that. The state of Ohio will not allow you to do that.
The law's the law. What
And
I'm not
now-
happy with is a whole list of things where I feel that if the contractual interests of the village were being watched out for.
You feel, and you're not a lawyer.
I'll present
Ask
this-
another lawyer.
I have.
I did.
Yeah, that's what
I did.
Hinkle and them.
I did.
I've heard that.
I asked the auditor. The auditor said, you know what? They're on some kind of a crazy trip. They're on some kind of, I don't know what they're looking for.
Really?
He gave them the right advice.
Well, good. I'm
Every
going to
time
bring
they
some
asked a
people. I'm
question.
going to bring a couple attorneys to a council meeting who will give you their opinion.
Good. Bring them.
I will do that.
I mean,
Bring
you
him.
said that it's his job to give legal advice, right?
He does.
Where was the advice?
I wasn't there.
I know, you wasn't.
Ask her. She was here.
But none of them people.
Lowell, you were
They
here
didn't have a
too.
solicitor telling them not to do it, is what I'm saying.
What? He didn't have anything. What do you think? He's an expert in water plants?
No.
And engineering?
Don't you think you need to look at this?
He comes in here and they set the paper in front of him and he reads it and it's true to form and he signs off on it. That's what the lawyer from the auditor's office said he's supposed to do.
But do you feel comfortable with that?
I feel comfortable with it. I wasn't here when all that stuff went on. I wasn't sitting here
I don't sit here
asleep.
and point fingers.
Huh?
Neither was I. But I don't sit and blame all the whole council.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming anybody. I could have blamed people when I came in this job. I didn't blame anybody. But I'm not going on some wild goose chase about contracts that I don't have a clue about. I don't have a clue about what them contracts say and what
every
they're
one
supposed
of
to
us
say.
and you.
Just like they don't have a clue.
Everybody in this village should have a concern about them contracts.
They
You,
should
council,
have,
the
they should have
residents,
before they got the money.
And
They
what-
borrowed the money.
Can I ask why ORC is not being followed at this time?
ORC's not being followed. I don't know,
How about
understand
that? Well, I'll prepare at the next council meeting. I will have a nice presentation about stuff we're doing right now that's not exactly to ORC, because we have a solicitor that is doing the due diligence.
No, we don't. We got a council person that has an attitude against my solicitor because he doesn't agree
care
with
about
everything she says.
I care about the village. And he
That's
sat in the
what it's
office and
about.
said, I don't care.
That's what it's about.
I know we've had a lot of disagreements, but Ms. Burns, you're the financial lady. God bless you. I back you 100%. I'm well aware of what you're discussing and talking about right now, and I do believe that going outside and getting some other people involved and getting some answers was the right thing to do. I have concerns too. I am at the mercy of the same person that you are, because whatever advice he gives that we're going to take, and bottom line is, if we don't get the correct answer, it's going to be us. It won't be him, it'll be us. Okay? And what's
Exactly, and that's what happened before. If there was no advice, you know, the rules of council went back in 14, went through 3 readings. Never once was it mentioned that, hey, this was changed to be the wording for a city. That's what it was changed for, except they removed some of the code from the ORC, but they took what the rules of council are for a city and put it into the rules of council for this village. And it went through 3 readings. Yeah, I mean, I was on council, but we also should have legal advice too.
What legal advice? You read it.
No, you got, when you're sitting down there, and I know this is me, if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to buy a house, and I go to my attorney and I say, okay, this is
Right.
what's going on, that attorney's going to go through that paperwork and say, buddy, you better rethink this.
If it's
That's
the
just my
ORC is the law that we adhere to, and when we do things that is against the ORC, I'm not a lawyer, and we pay somebody $40,000 a year to make sure that at least we are following
Law.
municipal law. You know? And I mean, yes, I was on council. I'm not saying it's, you know, I was here. But with other questions that have come up, yes, I'm questioning things.
I know I'll speak for me. I'm not pointing no fingers at nobody. I came in here to say, okay, I'll do my best to help clean this up. And that's what I'm trying to do, as is the others that are sitting in here. We're doing our best. Now, we're going to run across issues that we may not agree about. I may not understand it. You'll have to take extra time to say, okay, take me to the side, say, Tom, this is what's going on. Okay, thank you for explaining that to me. I appreciate that, you know. But the one thing I do understand is when you're asking legal advice, well, I don't know if it's you or the mayor or somebody's asking legal advice, and this guy's saying, well, I got to hesitate here and I got to stop and think. We got a situation. My personal opinion is that we need to do exactly what you're doing, going back through those old contracts. And there are questions, a lot of questions, and saying, okay, well, what about this and what about that? What could be done here? Could this have been changed? So, yeah, do the
I
due
serve the
diligence. Absolutely
residents,
do
and
the
I
due
want to
diligence.
make sure that any avenue that could be done to help the residents is followed.
Absolutely.
And I'm not a lawyer, I mean, but will I fight for the residents and try to see if there's an
We're all
avenue?
fighting for the residents, Rebecca. We're all fighting. We're in here every day.
Will I look for ways that the village could get better services or save some money? That's what finance, you know, has
That's
been
what
doing.
she does.
So
That's
does the
what she
committee.
does, 8 hours a day.
Yes, she does.
That's
and
what she
a good
does.
job. So does she.
So does she.
But Billy, so does council, and
So do I.
It's 18. It's not just you. It's not just Courtney. Not just Misty. Not just Rebecca.
It's not.
It's everybody's a team. You got on her saying she's mad for reasons. You're mad.
I'm not
For a
mad.
good bit.
I'm
Billy.
not mad.
Big time.
I'm not mad.
Come on.
I'm not mad.
Was here at the work session where he got horribly inappropriate with me.
Yes, ma'am.
What did I say to you?
Which time?
Huh?
Which time?
I don't know.
You called me a liar for one thing,
About what?
about being, let's see, which one was that?
The same day Mr. Timmons got upset. The same day I got
The day
upset.
that you left the work session.
I understand.
I
We
just
all
said,
hit this.
I just
point.
said
But all
what
council
she had
and
done.
mayor have to work together.
That's right.
what she had
We
done.
have to be respectful, like I've told people before. Treat everybody with dignity and respect.
Whether you agree with them or not.
I do. But I'm also sitting at the head of the table too.
But
Okay.
you don't boss council.
I
Council's
sat at the head of the
authority.
table. I sat at the head of the table, Rebecca, not you.
I'm the president of
I'm the
council.
administrator of this town.
Whoopee.
Council,
Your duty is
Authority,
95% fiscal responsibility. Not to worry about parking in a lot over there. Bring it to me, I'll take care of it.
The council does.
And I did. No, that's none of your business.
Okay,
Somebody complain to you about any of that stuff, you tell them, see me. That's what I'm sitting
I
up
am
here
on council
for.
for, I represent everybody.
And what's your job?
To represent and to bring
Fiscal
the council.
responsibility, Rebecca, check the book. That's your job.
I need to bring some attorneys in to give us a better interpretation.
Bring whoever. Is everybody done? Mm-hmm. All right, we're adjourned.
Horse kick.
Yeah.